And we're live. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you so much for joining us. We're so excited to have you here on this Saturday afternoon for this virtual story time and activity that we've got planned. Thank you, guys. We're just so delighted and enamored to have a wonderful virtual community. We know that we're not able to be our normal community space at independent bookstores and gather together like we normally do, but this way we're able to join each other virtually, and we're just really excited to have this technology, and even more excited that you guys are spending your time with us. So we've been having people from all over the country, all over the world. I hosted an event earlier that had people from England and Canada. And so I want to give you a quick introduction. Tattered Cover Bookstore is a local independent bookstore in the Denver metro area. And we have 4 locations there. And so if you are in the Denver metro area, you're more than welcome to come visit us. All 4 of those stores are open. As long as you come in wearing your mask over your mouth and your nose, you can come visit us for about 90 minutes or so and browse the bookshelves and get yourself something to read. Or if you're not in the area, or if you're like me and you would rather stay in your pajamas than do your shopping, you can order from tatteredcover.com and we will ship to you. You can also do pickup in stores if you are in the area. And our website is open 24/7, so you can get plenty of books and stock up for the remainder of this quarantine, but also, fill your library. And so we want to just, again, say thank you for shopping locally. It's because of you that we are able to have these amazing events and these amazing authors, because Tattered Cover would not be here without that. We turned 50 this year, 50. That's crazy. That's so old for a bookstore. And it's really amazing. And it's because of you guys. So thank you so much for continuing to support us and shop local. I want to let you know that closed captioning is enabled for those who might need it on this video. If you toggle your mouse over the screen, there's a black bar down at the bottom, and CC is the button that you want to click on there for closed captioning. And then now I want to introduce our author of the hour, who it's so exciting to talk about her new book, What You Don't Know. So Anastasia Higginbotham is a queer white author and artist whose books about childhood subvert systems of domination, such as patriarchy and white supremacy. She works in collage on grocery bag paper using only recycled materials. Each book centers a child in the unfolding of their own lives, and her titles include Divorce is the Worst, Death is Stupid, Tell Me About Sex, Grandma, and Not My Idea, a book about whiteness. And the book that we're here to talk about today, as I mentioned before, is What You Don't Know. It's her latest book, and it's my honor to welcome Anastasia. And we're gonna have her turn on her video and her microphone now. And there she is. Hello.
Hi. Thank you, McKaylee.
It's so exciting to have you here. I know you're not like physically in the store this time around, but we're so excited to have you with us and sharing this new work. Your art is so notable and amazing, and I love pointing it out to our children that come into the store, and I'm just so excited for you to give them kind of a taste of what you do and share your new book with us.
Cool. Thank you. Thank you. I'm so impressed that you're turning 50 and that you have 4 stores. And congratulations on continuing to do business and adapt to what things are right now and what they need to be, so that we can all take good care of each other.
Thank you. That means a lot. Well, why don't you take it away here and tell us about your latest book and your art? We'd love to hear from you. I'm going to pop out a little bit I'm going to make it so that they focus on you and watch you talk as you go here.
Okay, thank you. Thanks everyone for tuning in today. I made this book. It's called What You Don't Know, A Story of Liberated Childhood. And it's about this child, Demetrius, who has always known that they were gay and identifies as queer, and never had to come out because they never were in. This is a child who grew up with enough room to just emerge exactly as they are and be beheld and beloved by the people there ready to receive them. And the child is raised in 2 different homes. His parents do not live together. He has a father who is Black, who he spends most of his time with, and his mother is white, and he spends time with her too, and he navigates both of those worlds, secure in himself and secure in the love that he gets from both of his parents and their extended families, and just is very tuned in to who in the world really sees who he is and can receive and deal with and cherish his presence, without him having to conform himself, although he does have to conform plenty, just because the world is what it is. And we have the time that we have together. So I'm just going to start. I'm not going to start at the very start of the book, the beginning of the book, but I selected out a piece of it that I think gives you a really good taste of what the world is like for Demetrius. Okay. Let me share my screen. And we'll start here. What you don't know is there are lots of people I have to hide myself from, but my dad is not one of them. Hey. He has always seen me true. He gives me space to be who I am. I do the same for him. The air is easy between us. There's enough. He teaches me what his dad taught him. And then we see his dad there when he was a little kid. And so that's his grandfather saying, don't let anybody out there tell you who you are. And now his father, grown, tells him, all you need to be is you. My father loves me completely, and you bet I feel it. And now here's the handoff from dad to mom. The child says, see you Sunday. And mom receives him back. My mother fights for us. Now, before I go to the next page, so mom cusses in this book. I conceal it, with asterisks and stuff. And just think of her as like me if I was in the book, because I do curse, but I'm not going to curse right now. I'm going to use bleeps and blanks, okay? So don't worry. My mom was a sensitive kid too. And we see her in her childhood when she was wee little. The world is so bleeping unfair. She's got her own sense of justice and her own ideas about God. And now mom looking at her phone, reading the news, she says, these bleeping blankety blanks brag about endangering the lives of trans kids. They don't know bleep about Jesus's grace. You see the little hearts popping off the child? It may seem strange, but when she's cussing at her phone, I feel loved and seen. The news is atrocious, she says. Hide my phone from me. She lets me know that I matter and that I'm not the one with the problem. And mom clutches her book by Octavia E. Butler called Parable of the Sower. It's about evolving. What you don't know is that even though I'm loved at home, the world's ugliness toward gay people lands right on me. They make laws against us, call us evil, try to convert us. And what about the ones who aren't loved at home? What about the kids whose own families reject them? He thinks about this as he sits on the couch with his mom and she reads her book, God is Change, Shape God. And now at church, mom brings Demetrius to church. Churches can preach all they want about love. The only thing I feel when I'm here is shame. But the shame isn't mine, and it's not coming from God. I have nothing to be ashamed of. My spirit floats free. And we see his little spirit float up, up and loop-de-loop. And oh, look who it is. Floating in from the side. Jesus! Yes! You're here, always and everywhere. Do you know what's happening down there? Yes. Does it hurt your feelings if I don't believe in you? It's my job to believe in you, and I do. So we're cool? Always. Hey, Jesus. Hey, what? Are there other gods besides you? Divinity is everywhere, in everyone and everything. And we see the animals and the seasons and the trees and the water. We see the Bodhisattva in meditation. We see Black Mary. We see the ancient goddess, the snake, and the exit sign of the church. Are you going to punish the people of earth who hate me and blame it on you? Nope, says Jesus. Everyone is invited to love and be loved. How about him? Asks the child spirit. Especially him. As we see Billy Porter, the spirit of Billy Porter, sashay by on the red carpet. Jesus calls out, "Love the dress, Billy." And Billy Porter calls back, "Yours too, baby." Even, yes, says Jesus. That's Mitch McConnell. Want to know what I love, Jesus? Always. I love that you and me are Black. And the child is still dreamy, kind of from their spirit conversation with Jesus Christ. When this woman approaches his mother, "Excuse me, I don't mean to be rude, but you need to keep your son awake in church and teach him right from wrong. There's a place for people like that, and it's not heaven. And stop dressing him in flowers. He's a boy." How do you think mom feels? I wonder if she'll cuss in church. What you don't know is homophobia scares the hell out of me. Well, what you just said is very rude, says mom. Mind your own business and stay out of ours. Tell me again why we still come here, says Demetrius. I like the smell of the incense, says mom. I'm so sorry that happened. Maybe someday I'll understand the hurt that causes the fear, that causes the hate, that causes the violence and stupidity. I said maybe. But love, I know all about. Thanks for telling me, says Dad. That sounds awful. I'm sorry he had to experience that, says Mom. I am too. Are you really going to stop going just like that? Asks Dad. Yes, I know how to find God. I don't need a building. Love you, Mom, and thanks. Demetrius goes home with his dad. Your Aunt Viv's coming over. Now we're back at Dad's place, you see. Your Aunt Viv's coming over. Can Moxie come too? We're recording our podcast. Absolutely. Moxie is Demetrius's friend who's also queer. She's a little bit older and definitely wiser and has really taken Demetrius into her kind of aura at school. I imagine her like in 8th grade when he's in 6th. And she suggested that they do a podcast together. So she's coming over and they're going to conceive that podcast together. And this is an illustration of just kind of their thoughts taking shape. Before we were called Black, white, brown, queer, before the world saw our bodies and decided we were a boy or a girl or dark or light, before we learned about our sensitivities, disabilities, test scores, zip codes, before and beyond our being your child or that child, a child of this nation or that one, a child of one God or many, a child of earth or outer space. We were our own true nature. The kids are making a podcast in Dee's room. Aunt Viv is here. Okay. We are born in a constant state of change and stay changing. Can you stand back and behold us? Let us be all that we are and all that you are not. God, imagine that. Now they're recording in the kitchen. When the world is the way it should be, the way it can be, the way it will be because it has to be, in that world, people's imaginations will be bigger. Beauty will shine out of us like starlight. There's Billy Porter again. We will rewrite the rules we live by and love the world into balance. And on the TV, we see the US representatives known as the Squad. Congresswoman Rashida Tlaib, Ayanna Pressley, Ilhan Omar, and Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez. Not pictured is Representative Cori Bush. Sensitivity will be valued as the superpower it is. And we'll all be seen and celebrated and safe, to be genuine, to be whole, to be real. It's live, Dee. I sent you the link. What you don't know is I'm always going to love myself and find others who do too. I'll wear clothes so shiny, you'll see your own fears. And flowers to remind you my life force breaks concrete. I'll claim every color in the rainbow as armor and glow even brighter in the dark.
Wow. I'm very, no, it's true. I want the sensitivity will be seen as the superpower it is on a t-shirt. I like want that as like a motto or a mantra. That was, man, kids are so lucky. Thank you for doing this. This is awesome.
Thank you for listening. What happens next in the story is that they're going to publish their podcast. They invite the people at school who love them to come to the roller rink on Friday. And the mom comes, dad comes, Aunt Viv comes, and they skate. And they're free. They're free in the world and they know it. And the world can be what it is, but they're not the ones with the problem.
And it's beautiful and it's awesome. And, you know, one of the other things that I noticed in there too was that, you know, I love the way that you did the slides and got to really show off your art. And so you have some samples for us and you're going to kind of give us a bit of a demonstration to show how you make your art for your books and how kids at home might be able to do that too, right?
Yes. First I'm going to I'll show you a couple of tiny little videos that show how they're put together.
Great.
Okay, I'm going to share the screen again so I can show you this.
Yes. My visual learner is very happy right now.
Yeah, right? Okay, play from current slide. That's where we are. All right.
Yep.
So you see Jesus Christ made by, how do I do this? Okay. So these are paper dolls. And I focused on when they're in their spirit form, the Jesus spirit and the child spirit, because these characters are made in what's the Ivan Brunetti style of comics making. While some of the characters that I make are really elaborate and they look like people, you know, the proportions are like people. This is the Ivan Brunetti style, which is the little circle head, kind of oversized head, a little triangular or jelly bean body.
Yes.
And the little arms coming off and the little feet coming off. And the hands are just like snowballs. Hands and feet are just like snowballs. And So before I started making all the Jesuses and all the little spirits of the boy, look what I started with. Those are grocery bags cut into little heads on triangles. And you don't have to do it that way, but it is a really easy way to make a character. And my materials are what you see there on the screen: the pen, the scissors, the glue stick, and
Wow.
the brown paper bag. And so that's how they turned out. Look at them all. They're so funny. They took so much longer than I thought they would take. I thought, like, oh, I'll just make all these Jesuses and little spirits, but they just they took forever because each one has to, whatever. So you see how they can be. You see how you can shape a little body and shape the little chin. But let's see, what else did I want to show you? Can I play this?
Yeah.
So this is how we photograph them and put them in the book. This is Alexa Hoyer who photographs them. And she photographs each one, and then they go in the book. We get them into the computer, and then, this is how I made Billy Porter. So you see the picture. This is what he looked like when he was on Sesame Street.
Yep.
Right? And here is this is how small they are too, right? So that's Billy Porter getting made. I made the little head, I made a little body, right? And then that's how, so there's the background, and then there's the dolls that go on top. So we can, you see them all? How, and they're, some of them are in pieces because sometimes they have to be bent and sometimes separate, and look what a mess. Those are
what a beautiful mess.
Those are the backgrounds for the roller skating rink. And I just wanted it to have a lot of color. And see, like you see here on the right side, this is the front of the mom at the skating rink. And look at the back. Look how many things are there to kind of support that body structure. But it's just paper and glue and fabric glue and fabric. And that's how they start. They're these little brown pieces of paper. Nor Buckles Surgi is an artist who recently graduated from high school who helped me build those characters. And she also drew Billy Porter in the book. Not the little paper doll Billy Porter, but another, the one that was on TV. And so this is how I make them. And that's the process. It's all these pieces and fabric, and it comes together and then comes together. See?
Look at that fabulousness.
That's the security guard from school who
comes. Oh, that's right.
He invites her to their party, and he's like, hey, come to the roller rink on Friday if you want to celebrate with us. She's like, I already was going to be at the roller rink on Friday.
Of course she was.
But I'll be happy to see you there. So we get to see another side of her. And so check out that little, those little 4 strips of paper there. The head, 2 little arms, 1 little oval body, and some legs. Okay, and they can be big, little, different shapes, whatever. And then, layer by layer comes the clothes and the face and everything like that. But and you see on the paper bag, I had different colors of skin for the characters. Very different shades. Everybody is. And then there they are at the roller rink. So now I can put the music on for us and get your whatever you brought to do your collage or to do your drawing. Now you don't have to make characters like I do, and it takes a long time sometimes if you're adding clothes and hair and ribbons and all that stuff. But you can start with just that little circle of a head and a little jelly bean body, that Ivan Brunetti style that has the wiggly arms. You can draw on a piece of paper and then just cut out that little person who you drew. However you draw people is great. If you don't want to draw people and you are into writing the words, the names, what I'd like you to do is think about and connect in your own self with, if you were having a party at a roller skating rink or anywhere that you like to go, and you were going to have music, and the people who really get you, the people who really see you, and when you're in their presence, you feel like you can breathe. You feel like you can be yourself, your sense of humor, your sense of justice, your sense of the amount of space you need around yourself, whether you like to cuddle up with everybody all the time or just be free and like everybody keep your distance. Think about who gives you that good feeling, and who would you invite to your roller skating party. And in the death book that I wrote, Death is Stupid, I suggest that names are like spells. They have magic. So if you don't want to draw a picture of somebody, you can write the name of somebody. And, you know, your aunt, your uncle, your cousin, and put yourself there. Maybe you can write down or think of the names of the people you would invite, but you could start by making yourself first. And put yourself in whatever kind of clothes you want to be wearing, or you can add that in another time. But so that's the idea, yourself in the space with the people who really get you and love you, and with whom you can breathe and be yourself and be happy and have fun. And what else did I want to say? Oh, I wanted to play some music. I'll just put on some music, but this is also the same time when you can ask me questions. And your questions can be about the artwork too.
Yeah. So while we're working and coming up, I've been writing some names of people I want at my roller skating rink party. And because I'm not an artist in the visual sense, in the writing sense, sure. So some of you may be out there that are like me, that may not feel confident in your drawing. We still encourage you to just try it. And I love the alternative of writing words and writing names. That's awesome. But yeah, if you guys have any questions, you can write them out in the chat. Some of you have already been active in the chat. That's right next to your screen. In the other screen. Yeah, I've got the questions. I'll filter them. But you guys, and then if you guys want to, you can email us, take a picture and email us some of your artwork at calendar@tatteredcover.com, and we can share those with you guys. I wanted to ask you about the backgrounds and how you were showing us how the characters come together, but how do the backgrounds come together?
The backgrounds come together slowly also. I think it's going to take less time than it takes. So I had a magazine that had all these beautiful stages in it. And so I cut out all those stages, and there was all these gorgeous lights. And so I start with a paper bag, and I had measured, the art director for this book, Drew Stevens, had told me how to measure it. So he said, you know, from this side to this side, it needs to be 18.75 inches. And this is where the middle is. So don't put anybody in there or any words that you need. And so I just start pulling together different imagery that is inspiring to me and that is beautiful. In this book, I wanted it to be really colorful, because when I think of the rainbow as the symbol of queer pride and LGBTQIA identity, all of the complexity and diversity that is, I thought, you know, I don't want it just contained in a rainbow. I don't want those little, I want to bust out of those bars and bust out of that shape and have all the colors everywhere on every page. And but I made the spaces also to be a place where, there.
Yeah, we got you. Yep.
Okay, where the child and their people would like to be. So this is Dad's apartment. And I got that beautiful exposed brick there. You know, I just cut things out of magazines that look like, yeah, I'd like to sit in that living room, or raise my kids there, and this beautiful comfy couch and those pillows. And this stuff was not connected in any way. This is from like 17 different sources and is many, many different pieces of paper.
I have a very inquisitive question here. One of our viewers wants to know, what is an art director? Aren't you the art director? I think somebody was a little confused by that.
I didn't know this 6 years ago when I started writing these books either. The art director for Daughter Press. So Daughter Press is the publishing company.
Yep.
And the publisher is a woman named Jennifer Baumgartner, who has been a partner, friend, and creative collaborator, well, partner is the right word, with me since we were for more than 25 years. But okay, so Jennifer is the publisher. She has the company, she runs the company that is Daughter Press. The art director is the person who, every time a book is made, it goes to the art director first. They look at all the pages, whether it's just words or words and pictures, and they make it into a book. So it goes from being this grocery bag with some stuff pasted on it to a photograph, like you saw in the slideshow, into the computer, and then he starts, he creates the I don't even know how to describe it, but he knows what the book needs to look like to send it to the printer so that from their computer, they can make it into an actual book.
So he like helps you with the sizing, right? So like one of the things like you were talking about when you fold the book, yeah, right? So nobody's squashed in the middle where the book folds, nobody's, you know? And so he helps you figure out, how big does the room have to be? It's not going to be this big because the book's not this big. It's going to be smaller to fit in the book, right?
He tells me what he wants to see on the cover so that the cover really pops and it's not too busy. He tells me this looks good, this doesn't look good. Let's make a change here. And on this book in particular, we worked side by side to layer all the things, because you can see it is layers.
Yes.
Everything is in pieces. And so it all had to go into the computer in different layers. And the art director's job is to translate, to take care of every single page.
Yeah. Well, good. Thank you. And that was a really smart question, because I'm sure that not everybody watching knew what an art director was. And so I have another question, which has to do with writing. How do you decide what you're going to write about? I think that's a really great question, and maybe give some advice for some younger writers out there that maybe want to do what you do someday.
Sure. Yeah. I write about what I can't not write about. So I can't, every time I sit down to write, if the same story keeps coming to my head, it's just like, I can't stop talking about this. I really need to make a book about what it feels like when your parents get a divorce or separation. That was the first book.
Divorce is the worst. Yep.
Divorce is the worst, because I just kept, when I would write about that. And so I was like, okay, this is what I'm writing about. It's what wants to come out, what needs to come out. I never have had the experience of like wondering, like, what am I going to write about? It's usually something that's just like pressing out. Like, if you know the story of Zeus, when Athena was in his head,
yep,
he was fully grown and she's like banging to get out, and then she came out fully formed. It's more like that. The ideas are in there taking up a lot of space. And so the only way to relieve that pressure is to get it out. So if you know yourself and you know what you can't stop thinking about and want to think about all the time, and it gives you so much pleasure and joy to work with that material or write about that thing or draw pictures about that thing, that's how you decide. That's how I decide.
I think that's great. I love that. It's like this idea of your story has to be told, right? And you're the only one that can tell it in this way. And so that's a really great encouragement for young artists out there too. And maybe some not so young ones who just haven't started yet. Maybe some parents out there. So another really great question is, you mentioned Jesus in your book. Was that hard?
To put him in the book?
Yeah, to like talk about Jesus, and like I think that's what they mean. Like, you know, I can't, other than maybe the Bible, I don't know of a lot of children's books that talk about Jesus. And so maybe that's what they're referring to, is like,
yeah,
having Jesus in your book is a little different for some kids, you know?
I think when you're growing up gay in this culture, so yeah. I've only ever lived in the United States, and I haven't lived in that many places in the United States, but my family went to church every Sunday and also on the holy days and the holidays. And so Jesus was a big part of my atmosphere as a child, and it was important to me. When I went to church, I would listen, and I took everything literally. So if you're a child in this country, regardless of what your family, how your family worships or does not worship, or practice any kind of religion, there is a presence of Christianity, of people who use the name of Jesus to say this or that thing. My experience is that Jesus is this guy in the book. That is how I imagine him, and I've learned that from everywhere, all the influences. But when you're gay and you're a kid and you're hearing that Jesus doesn't love you, it's a lie. And I wanted to call that out right away. Um, Even if you don't believe that Jesus is the Lord, or even if that's not how you pray, or if you never want to pray and you don't believe in God, I wanted to offer the presence of Jesus Christ in spirit form to this child to settle it. And really, I mean, settle it like, let's get this real calm and real clear, because you are loved and it is not complicated. And unconditional love means exactly that. It is unconditional. You, Billy Porter, Mitch McConnell, everybody is invited to love and be loved. All of the everything has divinity too. You know, I wanted Jesus there to answer some really important questions that the child in the book is having, knowing that children who are reading have these questions too. And that was what gave me joy to offer.
Thank you for that. And thank you for that honesty. I think it's a really wonderful representation, but in the same vein, you're able to incorporate children who come from families with all sorts of beliefs,
Yeah.
and are able to understand, for those who live in the United States, the majority religion in a lot of ways. And so that way they can better understand it. So I think it's really important. And that was a really good question. Another one that I think we're going to go with before we close out here is, how did you know you wanted to be an artist?
These kinds of little paper dolls and little books is just always how I learned. So even from when I was a child, art was my favorite class at school. And I liked to draw all the time. I wanted to draw, and my sisters could draw. My sister Alicia won a 10-speed bike for a drawing contest through she drew Snap, Crackle, and Pop and won a 10-speed. So she could, and my mom could draw, and my mom is like really an artist, but not in the way that I am. It's just like the way she sets a table, the way she prepares food, the way she takes care of plants. So I always, when I was learning something as a kid, or when I was having like a really meaningful experience, I would always make a book about it. And I would always cut the paper to make the little characters, and I would stick them on there. And so I'm doing the same thing now.
I love that. That's such a wonderful way to follow your passion, and what a wonderful blessing to have family members that helped and supported and encouraged that. So our last question before we go is, what did this book teach you? Either something about yourself, a little factoid you want to share with about yourself as an artist. What did this book teach you after, you've written so many wonderful stories and shared with us all these beautiful lessons? What was different about this book? What did this book teach you?
This book taught me that a different childhood is possible than the one that I had. And when I first sat down to write it, I had ideas in my head and feelings about my own experience growing up and watching my brother, who knew he was gay from a very young age, endure homophobia and outright hostility, even before he could speak the words or even know the words that meant what he was or who he was. And so it was it was dangerous just to be. And so what this book taught me, it gave me an opportunity to surround this child with people who are real now, people who I know are circling around their children, whoever that child is, whatever their sensitivities or disabilities or test scores, whether, all of the facets of who we are. There are families who just circle around and say, okay, this is who showed up, this is who we're going to love, and we're going to catch up. If we're not quite to where that kid is yet, we're going to catch up. And I see this happening all over the place with families that evolve in order to be fully present to their children. And so I feel a lot more excited about the childhood my children are having, and what they take for granted about what they're entitled to in terms of love and safety and wellness, and having people that they can count on.
Well, that was beautifully said. And it's a Saturday, and I did not expect to get teary twice, but that was beautiful. And I so look forward to sharing this book with children and adults alike and families. It's such a worthwhile story, and it's honestly one of my favorites of yours. And I just, because of the message of love in it, and it's something that we can just relate to on a human level with the human condition. So thank you for what you've given us, and thank you for your time. We're so excited. And like I said before, if you guys drew anything and you want to share it with us, if you email calendar@tatteredcover.com, have one of your adults do it. Most of you probably know how to do it too, but
tell McKaylee, if you email to her, if I'm allowed to share it on my Instagram or
yes, if you email it and you say, and your adult says it's okay, we can share it online if you like. So just let us know in the email. And so we would love to see what you guys come up with. And then also we want to just remind you that you can go ahead and get your copy of What You Don't Know from Daughter Press at tatteredcover.com or at any one of our locations. Anastasia, I want to give you a moment to just remind people who you are, about your book, or anything else that you want to say before we close out this afternoon.
I'm on Instagram, and I'm available. I'm reachable. So please let me know what's going on for you in relation to the books that I make and the books that you want to make. And let me know how it goes with your collage, whatever you made. I'm so grateful to Daughter Press for publishing my work. Daughter Press has published all of my books and gives me such freedom and encouragement to create the kind of scenes and speak the words that I so want to speak. And so thank you to Jennifer Baumgardner and Daughter Press for that. And thank you to the independent bookstores for keeping our books flowing out, so that people can buy them and hold them. Not, we can't hold each other right now, but you can hold this book. And the bookstores are making sure that that's possible. So.
Well, and thank you for giving us the stories to hand out. We wouldn't be anything without the authors behind it. So, well, Anastasia, if you'll stay on before I log off here and sign off, I just want to thank you guys again for shopping locally, for spending your afternoon with us. And like I said, you can get your copy of What You Don't Know and Anastasia's other books from Daughter Press at tatteredcover.com. My name's McKaylee. I'm with Tattered Cover Bookstore here in Denver. I want to thank you guys again for joining us. Everybody stay safe and happy reading and happy creating in whatever way that may be for you. Until next time, guys. Bye.
Yeah, whatever comes through. Bye. However you feel.
However you feel. That was lovely. And we're out.